Hey, Shalom, this is Brother Baya back again. Before we get started, like always, I want to give all praises and glory to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shah Bahashem, Rachah HaKadosh. Double honors to my teachers, the elder apostles of Great Millstone, and Shalom to the hopeful elect. We're going to go into Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 8, all right? Beginning at verse 1, it says, Wisdom reacheth from one end to another mightily, and sweetly doth she order all things. All right, so when you look at the earth, the creation of the earth, and every civilization, every nation of people, every age, every empire, every period of time, there's been wisdom. All right, people have been able to build kingdoms, infrastructures, systems. All right, people have been able to create certain inventions, cook certain foods with the right flavors, build certain weapons, build homes, build vehicles, learn about lands, make clothes, do so many different things with wisdom, because wisdom ordereth all things. Without wisdom, there will be chaos throughout the world. So the Lord has allowed man to receive wisdom to be able to build, create, and live on earth. All right. When you go into Genesis, let me get that real quick. Genesis chapter 2, verse 7. It says, And the Lord, power Yahweh, formed man of the dust of the ground, and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul. That doesn't necessarily mean that he gave you oxygen to breathe. It means he gave man wisdom to know how to live properly on the earth. He gave man instructions, guidelines, and the understanding and knowledge to know how to live correctly on planet Earth. That's why when Adam and Eve partook of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, they understood that they did wrong. All right? They knew that they were rebelling against their power because they had the wisdom to know the correct things to do. All right? So the Lord gives man wisdom. Now, what man does with that wisdom is on that man, but the reason everything runs the way it runs on this earth is because wisdom has been spread throughout. All right, so it says in verse 1, it reaches from one end to another, and that's true. Verse 2, it says, I loved her and sought her out from my youth. I desired to make her my spouse, and I was a lover of her beauty. In that she is conversant with the Most High. She magnified her nobility. Yea, the Lord of all things himself loved her. And even the scriptures tell you, because the Lord loves wisdom, he loveth them that dwelleth with wisdom. See if I can get that. Yep, and this is also in Wisdom of Solomon, but the 7th chapter instead of the 8th. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 7, verse 28, it says, For the Most High loveth none but him that dwelleth with wisdom. For she is more beautiful than the sun, and above all the order of stars. Being compared with light, she is found before it. For after this cometh night, but vice shall not prevail against wisdom. So if you spend your time trying to acquire wisdom, the Lord is going to look out for you. The Lord is going to protect you. The Lord is going to provide for you. The Lord is going to guide you, because he loves those who dwelleth with wisdom. So your main desire as a man, your main desire as a man shouldn't be trying to get a woman, trying to get a lot of money, trying to be the most fashionable guy. It should be trying to get that wisdom. All right. Let me see, what was that? Yeah, verse 2, it says, I loved her and sought her out from my youth. I desired to make her my spouse, and I was a lover of her beauty. and that she is conversant with the Most High, she magnified her nobility. Yea, the Lord of all things himself loved her, for she is privy to the mysteries of the knowledge of the Most High, and a lover of his works. And that's what happens when you start to receive the true wisdom. You start to be privy and get acquainted with the mysteries of the Lord, such as his true name, such as his appearance. All right, the scriptures tell us in Revelation that Hamashiach Yahushua, who the world calls Jesus, had woolly hair, white woolly hair, and that he had very dark skin. You start to learn these mysteries about who the Israelites are, all right? You start to learn these mysteries about the other nations, all right, and how the world is actually supposed to be in its righteous state, and how right now it's in a wicked state because the wicked are ruling. You start to learn these mysteries when you attain wisdom. You start to learn how to control your emotions and operate righteously, all right, as a stoic man that's following the Lord and chasing after the Lord, the love of the Lord. All right. Verse 5, it says, if riches be a possession to be desired in this life, what is richer than wisdom that worketh all things? So if you want riches, you should be desiring wisdom. Because what's richer than wisdom? All right. To obtain anything of worth and value, you have to have wisdom in the first place. So, and that's not to say you should spend your time saying, well, I need to get wise so I can get rich. No. Because wisdom doesn't just lead to carnal possessions, all right? It leads you to spiritual enhancement, spiritual growth, all right? And this chapter is going to go into that, all right? Verse 6, it says, and if prudence work, who of all that are in it, it says, and if prudence work, who of all that are more, who of all that are is a more cunning workman than she, right? Let's get the word prudence to the etymology. Intelligence, discretion, foresight. Yeah, having that foresight, all right, to be able to make wise decisions, wise choices that lead you down a path of stability and not lead you down a path of destruction, all right? Verse 7, it says, and if a man love righteousness, her labors are virtues, for she teacheth temperance, which is control, and prudence, foresight, justice, and fortitude, which are such things as men can have nothing more profitable in their life. So you got a lot of men that don't have these qualities. The average man don't have these qualities because they don't love righteousness. They love the world. They love their ego. They love their pride. They love women. They love the appearance of looking like that guy, fame. All right. Let me get that word fortitude. Moral strength, courage, right? Brave, manliness. But yeah, it says wisdom teaches the virtues of temperance and prudence and justice, which are such things as men can have nothing more profitable in their life. But, the world teaches, no, you got to be famous. You got to have power. You got to have a nice car, a big house, all the women, Those are vain things. Those are not profitable to a man. Men are die with those things every day, all right? And die a fool. Verse 8, it says, if a man desire much experience, she knoweth things of old, and conjectureth aright what is to come. And that's true, because we are taught, history about past kingdoms, past men who followed in the ways of wisdom. We learn from their acts and their mistakes. And she teaches us what's to come, the prophecies, which also goes into the mysteries of the Lord. Jacob's trouble, the mark of the beast, all right, World War III, all right, hard times, all right, even the kingdom, peaceful times, all right? Wisdom teaches you these things that are going to come in due season. It says she knoweth the subtleties of speeches and can expound dark sentences. She foreseeth signs and wonders and the events of seasons and times, and that's what makes a prophet. Because a prophet is wise, a prophet has the wisdom, right, to expound on these things. And the scriptures contain a lot of dark sentences, a lot of dark parables, things that are not easy to digest or see with, the carnal eye. Verse 9, it says, therefore I purpose to take her to me to live with me, knowing that she will be a counselor of good things and a comfort in cares and grief. And how do you take wisdom with you? Well, wisdom comes from the word. So you got to take the word with you. You got to eat this word. Like the scripture say, eat the scroll, eat the whole roll, live it. All right, the scripture say with all that getting, get understanding. And it says, wisdom becomes a comfort in cares and grief. Well, isn't the word likened to the comforter? The Lord told us, these words that he speaks shall comfort us, man. So wisdom comes from what we're reading right now, all right? Wisdom of Solomon, all right? Verse 10, it says, for her sake I shall have estimation among the multitude and honor with the elders, though I be young. I shall be found of a quick conceit and judgment, and shall be admired in the sight of great men. When I hold my tongue, they shall bide my leisure, and when I speak, they shall give good ear unto me. If I talk much, they shall lay their hands upon their mouth. A wise person would definitely listen to someone that's wiser than them. Verse 13, it says, moreover, by the means of her I shall obtain immortality, and leave behind me an everlasting memorial to them that come after me. And, that's talking about your name being remembered throughout all generations, which is true. But it's even going to lead to the inheritance and blessing of immortality. Scriptures speak about how the elect of the Lord are going to put on the immortal, all right? Put on the incorruptible, all right? That shall never perish, okay? Verse 14, I shall set the people in order, and the nations shall be subject unto me. And that's going to happen pursuant to the prophecy in Isaiah. The law shall go forth out of Zion. That's how the nations are going to be subjected, all right, by this word. Because since the law is going to go forth from Zion, we're going to be rulers pursuant to the inheritance. We're going to teach according to wisdom. We're going to rule according to wisdom. And a kingdom has subjects. So they're going to be subjected under this word. That's how the people are going to be put in order, the righteous order, according to the wisdom that's written within this word. All right? Verse 15, horrible tyrants shall be afraid when they do but hear of me. I shall be found good among the multitude and valiant in war. After I am come into my house, I will repose myself with her. For her conversation have no bitterness, and to live with her have no sorrow, but mirth and joy. Repose. Let me get that word, repose. Be at rest. So you rest with wisdom. You rest with wisdom. Now it says to live with her have no sorrow, but you will read the scriptures where it say, a man that getteth much wisdom getteth much sorrow. You would think that's a contradiction, but no, because though you get a lot of sorrow from certain things that you learn from the wisdom you acquire, because you may the harsh things that are to come, and the dark reality of the world today may bring you sorrow. There's also comforting within the same word, all right, that contains the wisdom. So though wisdom can bring sorrow, it also brings the comfort to overcome that sorrow, all right? So it's not a contradiction there. Verse 17, it says, now when I considered these things in myself and pondered them in my heart, how that to be allied unto wisdom is immortality, and great pleasure it is to have her friendship, and in the works of her hands are infinite riches. and in the exercise of conference with her, prudence, and in talking with her, a good report, I went about seeking how to take her with me. For I was a witty child and had a good spirit. Yea, rather being good, I came into a body undefiled. Nevertheless, when I perceived that I could not otherwise obtain her, except the Most High gave her me, and that was a point of wisdom also to know whose gift she was. And see, that's what you got to understand. Wisdom is a gift from Yahweh Shai. So you may look at a rich person, a famous person, and think, how do they squander their money? How do they ruin their lives? How do they put themselves in dangerous situations? Why don't they just rest and sit down somewhere? They wasn't gifted with wisdom. You can have the carnal riches and gifts of the world that Satan offers, but the wisdom to know how to deal and be content and have temperance, control, all right, and be humility and meek, those are all gifts from the Lord. All right. That's why you'll see a guy like Adrian Broner in the condition that he's in. He had a lot of money, but didn't have wisdom. It says, I prayed unto the Lord and besought him, and with my whole heart I said. And that's Wisdom of Solomon chapter 8. But yeah, wisdom, 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 wisdom. Wisdom leadeth to a kingdom. Wisdom leads to you being the best man you can possibly be within this truth, within this ministry. Lord willing, this was edifying. Until the next time I say, Shalom.